Hello, welcome to WOLFpak Live. I'm your host, Wendy Fortino, and I'm here with an extremely special guest to me. This is someone I go way back with, and he is one of the legends of our industry. He is a four-time Mr. Olympia Physique champion. He goes by the name of Jeremy Buendia. If you haven't heard of him, you're probably living under a rock. And he's made a few comebacks, and we're really excited because he's heading into what he says is his final comeback, but we'll see about that. How are you doing today, Jeremy?
I'm doing good. It's been a busy past year for us, and have a lot of big goals coming up that we're trying to check off the list as we get through the rest of this year. So nonetheless, I'm excited. It's been busy, but we're about to start seeing the rewards come to us real soon. So
I know I've been following you. I know you have your gym opening up. We're going to talk about all of that. Before we get started, I have a little mini clip just to brush everyone up and get you maybe a little bit your mood elevated and inspired potentially.
Let's see it.
To be the champion, you got to beat the champion, and if Jeremy's not there, you're not really beating the champion.
There was a lot of uncertainty if Jeremy Buendia was going to compete this year after having pec surgery in the offseason.
I came back from an injury that most people would have curled up and said, oh, maybe next year or I'm done. That's not me. I want the obstacle. I want the challenge. I want to walk away from the stage on my terms as a champion on top.
I brought my best. I did what I could. I'm proud of it. I worked very hard. I came back from an injury that most people would have given up on. I brought a champion caliber physique slot. I have no problem listening to that.
We know that nobody outworks me. Nobody. I wouldn't say that. Nobody. I wouldn't say nobody.
That is amazing. This is my favorite routine. All right.
It's been quite a career looking back like that. I've been doing a lot of reminiscing lately, looking back at footage, and it's wild how long I've been doing this and how quickly it's gone by, and just the blessings that it's provided along the way. I've had an incredible journey, and being able to grow up in the industry, from being a teenager to being about to be 35 now. And just seeing how things have evolved and seeing all the doors that opened up for me through bodybuilding has just been absolutely insane. I'm very grateful for the sport and for all the opportunities and lessons it's taught me along the way.
We talked about this a little bit when I saw you at the Legion, but I think something that I've been really thinking about a lot since I saw you, and I don't think I really thought about this, too much before, but seeing that you started your journey. I think you were a teenager when you started competing, right?
I was 17.
And you started winning Olympia titles in your early 20s. Mm-hmm. And I look at your journey, and it kind of makes me think of a Hollywood, not that you were a child, but like a child star who grows up and goes through everything in life in the public eye, right? And that takes a toll on you. It takes a lot out of you. You're giving so much to be what everyone else wants you to be, and maybe losing yourself in the process. And then I watched your interview with Hani, and I got a little bit more insight on like what you've been through and what's going on. So what I want to do is I want to actually start like before we get into some of the things I want to talk about, let's start from like early on when you first started evolving in the sport, and then your rise through Instagram, and just go ahead and start from the beginning on all that.
How far back do you want to go from the very beginning?
Actually, yeah. I mean, I may not even know about the very beginning, so go for it.
Yeah, I grew up with the weight room being just a part of our everyday life. You know, my dad was obsessed with working out. Our garage is always converted into a weight room. Most kids woke up to an alarm clock in the morning. I woke up with my dad slamming weights. And
Me too, actually.
it's something that was just always a part of everyday life. Like it was just working out was something that was normal, something that I grew up just doing. You know, I'd be like 5 or 6 years old to be in the garage with my dad doing push-ups and sit-ups and pull-ups. And, you know, my brother, you know, he was 7 years older than me. He was a really good tried He trained, you know, I worked, tried to keep up with him. And it was just something that, you know, sports was such a foundational part of our family, and we revolved around it. So the weights was just another thing, a part of it. And, you know, when I got to play my senior year of football, you know, my brother is 6'1". He was 230 pounds his senior year in high school.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what happened to me. All the coaches, like I was a really good football player. All the coaches, like, Jeremy's going to grow. He's going to be as big as his brother. Just wait till he hits his growth spurt. Senior year rolls around. I'm still 5'7". I'm still hoping for my growth spurt. I think it's still coming one of these days. I'm not done yet. But anyways,
it may be.
I was highly like, you know, I had a lot of eyes on me playing football because of who my brother was, and I was really good. I just wasn't big enough. So after my senior year, I had some scholarship offers to some smaller schools, but I was only 17 when I graduated. I had a girlfriend back home. I didn't want to leave. I was just really young. And I also had a neck injury in my senior year in high school. In order for me to play football, I would have needed neck surgery, and I didn't want to go down that route.
How'd you get a neck injury?
My second game of my senior year, I had a center. He was actually a D1 prospect. He was 280 pounds, came out on me. I was middle linebacker. I filled the hole. I hit him. My neck snapped back, and I herniated a disc in my neck. I ended up playing the whole season. I sat out all the practices, didn't have any contact. I got shot up with cortisone the night before football games. You know, because we had high hopes. I was going to hit a growth spurt. I was going to get a scholarship. That was the hopes for me. And, you know, I ended up playing the rest of my year. I made all league, and I just decided that my career in football was over with. And around that time, I started falling in love with bodybuilding. You know, I was training out of the local gym, and there was a couple named Valerie Ganji. You might know who she is. She was a Physique IFBB pro. She was also the Miss Olympia back in the day.
She's a friend of mine. I know her, yeah.
Her ex-husband, Jimmy Lee, was Mr. USA. So those are the two original, those are the first bodybuilders I ever saw in my life. And they were training at the gym. So I would just kind of watch them from a distance for several months. And then eventually, you know, they asked me to work out with them, and I started learning from them. And I fell in love with the sport. And I did my first bodybuilding show like 2 weeks after I graduated high school. So all the senior activities right before graduation, I was prepping. And that was my life. I fell in love with it from a young age. Did my first show, and you know, that was pretty much a wrap after that. I knew after that I wanted to get into fitness in some shape or form as a career. I ended up going to UC Davis and studying exercise biology because I thought I wanted to be like a physical therapist or something. Tired of living a broke college life. Ended up coming back home, studying and becoming a personal trainer, and got into competing. And the next thing you know, it was just kind of one thing light after another with, you know, trying to progress through the industry and making a business out of things. And I talked about it in one of my last YouTube videos about how I kind of done everything in the industry to work myself up to where I'm at right now. But, you know, starting out as a local personal trainer, transitioning to online coaching, transitioning to online programming, then eventually went into social media, influencing and endorsement deals, and, you know, just trying to scale up and work your way up, you know, trying to make more and more financially out of the business that we're doing.
Yeah. So something that you opened up about, so I'm not sharing like information you haven't already talked about, but you dealt with some like mental struggles when you were younger. And actually this is something that I can relate to also, because I think that this is something that you and I have in common that probably we always have noticed about each other is like, I have a very obsessive personality also, you know. I think that's why when I put my mind to something, I make sure I succeed. And that's actually that's the way of, you know, most champions. Most champions have an obsessive issue, right? And so you noticed this early on. And I feel like when you went to football, that was like your obsession. For me, it was track. And then you discovered bodybuilding, and it was something that you turned to when you got injured. I turned to bodybuilding when I got injured from track. So I like relate to you on this, you know? Do you feel like that obsession is what carried you into like going all in?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from a young age, my dad always instilled in me a champion mindset. Like, don't do something unless you plan on being the best at it. And I was always really good at everything that I did in sports and school, everything. I always succeeded, and I worked hard to do it. I wasn't one of those guys that just wrote off talent. Like I worked really hard, even in school. Like I wasn't the smartest guy, but I got really good grades because I studied hard.
Yeah.
And same thing with, with sports growing up. I was never the fastest guy on the team, but I ran hills to make myself faster. It's just things like that, I always strive to do more than the person next to me. I always strive to never leave anything on the table. I can't go to bed at night knowing that I didn't give my best. I can't sleep when you leave something on the table. I feel guilt.
But you're okay. Another thing about early on is you're a trailblazer in the social media world, and you have, I mean, almost 4 million followers now, which is insane. Yeah. But back when social media first started, I mean, having like 100,000 followers was crazy because every single one of them were engaged with you. You know what I mean? And you were one of the early adopters of social media in the fitness world. I want to know about that because what was it like? I started social media a little bit later. I think I like missed the mark. I missed the mark on being an early adopter with you and some of the other people that were in like my generation too. But what was that like? Just discovering something where all of a sudden you had a platform where people were just coming in and paying attention.
Yeah. It was wild. I mean, being in my early 20s and like the social media being new, it's just like a way of life. Everybody was just so focused on trying to grow their followings. Everybody's meeting up for collaborations. Maybe that is how it is with younger guys. So I know I have some younger friends that still are super excited about it and doing all this stuff. I've just been doing it for a long time, getting older, but it was exciting, just meeting up. Everybody was trying to grow. Everybody had a common goal. Everybody was into fitness. So everybody was just trying to do something similar. So it was easy to bounce ideas off each other, get up every single day and just collaborate and work and try to make something grow and build. And that was one of the biggest reasons why I chose to move from Sacramento to Southern California was for that reason, was to try to grow my following, grow in the fitness industry. And that was probably the smartest thing that I did was move away in 2014 to SoCal to take advantage of me being such a big public figure at the time, winning my first Olympia and having all the eyes on me. Going out there really catapulted when you're, associating with other, big influencers, big brands. That just enhances your reach, the demographics. You start tapping into different markets, and next thing you know, you grow and you grow and you grow, and then that's how you build your brand. Is by getting out there and expanding and trying to hit different markets and different demographics. And by getting out of my comfort zone, being here locally, which it wasn't that big back then, that's what really catapulted me was getting out of where I was at to go to where it was.
That must have been so overwhelming. I found this clip. So your interview with Hani was amazing. There were little tidbits out of it that I want to share as we talk. But there's this one I want to watch with you, and this kind of goes along the lines of what we're talking about. So watch this, and then we're gonna.
Okay. Royalty. When I signed with you guys, I was at the table with you, Jay, and Phil. It was. I had a lot to prove. I knew I had a lot of room to try to catch up, and being that young and sitting at that table, though, it made my head pretty big. I think that was one of the biggest things, was just getting a little too far ahead of myself. And, I that same mentality, though, also pushed me to achieve what we achieved together. Yeah. I had a lot of drive. I had a lot of aspirations to try to get on the level that you guys are at. I pushed myself really hard to get there. But yeah, man, I just wasn't mature enough to handle the success, the fame, the money, all of those things. And, even up until we separated, I still feel like my mindset was still young, even at 27 years old when things started to fall apart. Right. And then we're kind of jumping ahead. We have a lot of years to cover between the beginning and the end. But
I mean, we're going to talk a little bit about that. But yeah, that is what I'm talking about. That must have been so so overwhelming. You just literally jump right into royalty right out of the gate.
Yeah.
So
No,
tell me.
it was very fortunate. I'm very, very fortunate to be able to have gotten to sit at that table from very early on. It opened up a lot of doors. It catapulted me to the top. It got eyes on me, presented opportunities. Nobody really knew who Jeremy Buendia was, but everybody knew who Hani was. So, that was another thing was, association early on in my career is what helped build my following as well and helped build my brand. And, there's another way to put it. I mean, aligning myself with those guys, it certainly had a huge part of my success, especially how fast it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so crazy to me because, you and Hani, I'm really good friends with Hani too. And your relationship is like a staple of the bodybuilding industry. And it's hard to like realize that when you're the one in it, you know what I mean? And so it's crazy. And I can only imagine how crazy it is for everybody to have such a vested interest in what's going on in your life, the relationships that you have, the relationships that you have a falling out with or whatever. And so that meeting between you two was so anticipated for years.
Yeah. Yeah. It really was. I mean, being a public figure is difficult with, having relationships as it is. Because people only see the surface of it. They don't necessarily see all of it. And then they make assumptions based off what they see. And it's not the full story. And that's why I'm glad that we were able to go on there and kind of, talk about what happened more in detail. But even then, it's still, we weren't able to cover everything in the hour and a half that we spoke. There's so much more, I don't even think people are even able to begin to understand how close Hani and I really were. It wasn't just him being my coach. It wasn't him just being a friend or my sponsor. Like, we were family.
Yeah.
And it was tough with the fallout because it fell back on me and the decisions that I made. At that age, I didn't see it falling apart. That was a thing. I just thought things were going to continuously grow and grow. And they were at that point in time. Things were just continuously climbing for me for like 5, 6, 7 years, just exponentially growing. And, when that happens, you start to get a little overconfident with yourself and, your ego gets a little big and you start thinking that, you did it all by yourself. And, I thought I could, and I thought I could hold it by myself. And I probably could have if I would have handled myself better, if I would have, conducted myself better. But the way I was acting, it repulsed people, looking back and seeing the way I acted repulses me now. And it's understandable. So I get it. And, I wish I would have made better decisions, but at the same time, like, had I not made those mistakes and caught myself, I'd probably still be making the same ones.
I don't know. Like I said before to you, I don't think that and I'm not like making excuses for it or anything like that. I'm just saying that like, I tend to be more understanding because I don't think that people understand how intense pressure can get when everybody is so hyper focused on every single thing that's going on in your life. And another thing about that too is that when you are so famous and everybody knows who you are, you have a lot of people pulling at you. Like, you have a lot of people that want a piece of it. They want it to gain for gains, right? They want to, and how are you supposed to know who's there for you and who's not there for you? That's the thing that I always feel like has to affect somebody so much. And when we are so scrutinizing and we're like looking at somebody's actions, so with such a fine-tooth comb, we don't even know like how it is to not know who's there for you and who's not there for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I wrestled that my whole career, and even still now, I've let people in way too easily in the past. I'd be way too open with somebody, and I'll be too warm to them, and they aren't necessarily a friend. They're just somebody I associate with. But I get too nice and too friendly with them too quickly, and then all of a sudden they think they're a friend, and then they want to get inside the circle, and then I'm like, whoa, you got to back up a little bit. And that's something I've been doing is making sure I don't let other people have too much of me too soon. And I'm learning to do that as I get older. My circle's got a lot smaller. A lot smaller. I have only a handful of friends now, and that's the way it needs to be because I don't have enough time or energy to give to a whole bunch of people anymore when I'm focused on what I'm doing here with business, work, preparation for Olympia, and my family. Like, any spare time that I have, I got to give it to my kids because my kids want to play all the time. So I don't have weekends anymore to go and do things with the boys or anything like that, because one, I'd rather be with my kids anyways. And two, you know, I'm not down to do the shenanigans most of these guys are still doing on the weekends anyways.
You're like, the party days are behind me. Those are
for sure. Yeah, there's nothing worse than having a hangover and dealing with a crying baby the next day.
You said this is another little tidbit. You were talking about how much your family means to you and how you understand a lot more about yourself now because having a family. And do you mind if I share this little mini clip where you kind of go over that a little bit? Because this like made me almost tear up.
I required so much of your attention and so much of your energy. I remember calling you midnight, pissed off or crying or upset. You knew having to talk me off the ledge when you got your wife and your sons sitting in the living room waiting for you to get off the phone with me. I'm sorry for that.
No, and I appreciate it. I appreciate, you know, you really making an effort right now. And you have been, so I'm not going to take away from the last several years. It's just that I wasn't ready.
I understand.
To have those conversations.
It's happening when it needed to happen, because honestly, if it had happened a few years, 2 years ago, it wouldn't have been the right time for me either. Right. You know, for me to understand what I put you through, I had to have a family of my own to really understand that. My family is the most important thing to me. My kids are everything to me. So.
Oh my gosh, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Oh, that like got me in the heart like crazy.
But yeah, the thing is like I remember a time when me and Hani were out in Kuwait and he was crying and he was just having a tough time, and it was because he wasn't there for Cameron, his son. And he was just like, I'm traveling all the time. I have all these clients, I'm coaching. I just don't have any time for my kid. And I feel like I don't even know him. I don't feel like I'm seeing him grow up, and I just saw him break down. And I've known how much this has taken a toll on Hani and his family life and trying to balance everything. I mean, the guy is 24/7. Like he hustles. He's a hard worker. What he's built is absolutely insane. And it's taken away a lot from, you know, his family life. And I'm glad. That's why when he announced his retirement from coaching, I was so happy for him, because I know how much it means to him to be able to take a step back a little bit and, you know, be a father and a husband, because it means everything to him. And Cameron's getting older. I think he's 12 now. And, you know, I was talking to Hani. He's like, I only got a few more years left before he doesn't want to hang out with his dad anymore. I was like, I don't know. You're Hani Rambod. You're a pretty cool dad to have. So
yeah, I think he'll be a few more years than that.
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't let anything come between me and my kids. Yeah. And I can only imagine, you know, so what I'm looking for, not bitterness. This fly's bothering me. Resentful. Is it the resentfulness I might feel towards somebody? Have they taken away from the time I have with my kids? You know, and the fact that I did that to him for years over just dumb shit that he was a grown man that didn't need to deal with my 23, 24-year-old problems with my girlfriends. Like he was the one that played the mediator for a lot of these things. And, you know, there was instances that, you know, Hani would have to go out of his way to, you know, be there for me. And it was unnecessary stuff, unnecessary pressures that I needed to put on this man, especially when he was my coach and my sponsor. The fact that he kept me around as long as he did, and I put him through the shit that he put me through, he didn't have to deal with that. And he did, because he cared about me. He had faith in me. So that's why I'm very grateful for him. And that's why I was able to acknowledge him, you know, on the podcast, you know, that I do understand. And I am grateful for him for that.
Jeremy, I'm sorry not to like analyze that interview, but it just, for me, it gave me a lot of insight into where you are right now. And it's like the most recent one where you really open up about everything. And I was able to really kind of get a better idea of how you got to where you are now, you know? And I do know, you know, you had, after 2018 and coming off of your pec tear, which I want to talk about, you had a really rough year in 2019. And then you, yes, when you met your wife, your now wife, but I know you struggled during that year, right?
Yeah, 2019 was a really bad year for me. I just completely imploded on social media. I was partying a lot after I lost Olympia. You know, I was doing amazing in 2018 and 2019. We were crushing it. And, you know, I was living this rock star lifestyle. You know, I just bought a Lamborghini after Olympia. I bought a penthouse in Huntington Beach on the water. I had tons of sponsors coming in. I was making money from online sales. I didn't have to do anything. I hardly worked out. I wake up in the morning, roll out of bed, you know, go day drinking, you know, go to the beach. And I partied for like a good year. And during that time, you know, I was on social media, being outspoken, just talking too much. And people didn't follow me for that. They followed me because they followed me because I was a champion. So to see that champion go from, you know, this standard to living this life down here, you know, thinking I'm up here still, you know, it was a recipe for disaster, and it was a ticking time bomb that exploded a lot faster than I thought it was going to. But, you know, through that time, you know, my wife and I, we grew up together actually. So, we got back together during that time, which I'm very grateful that she stayed with me during those hard times, because it was really rough for both of us. You know, the fact, this harassment that she dealt with on social media for being with me, all that stuff, you know, it was really difficult for both of us. Then COVID hit, and, you know, we got pregnant during COVID. And that's when, you know, I had to take a step back and make some changes in my life, because having a kid was something I've always wanted. And I knew that I needed to be a good father. So I had to make some big changes in my life, and we decided to move back up here. I wasn't doing good financially after 2020. I mean, all the sponsorships dropped off because the companies weren't doing well. So we were losing money really quick, especially living down in Southern California with the rent that I had, all the cars that I had. It was just, money was just disappearing. So we simplified life, moved back up here, and, you know, we had our first baby in 2021, and it was a rebuilding phase for me. I really had to humble myself and, you know, start from scratch again. And I'm glad that it did that, because, you know, even back where I'm at right now, I live a lot more humble life than I did before. I don't really value the materialistic things like I did. Like, financially, I'm probably doing better than I ever have been. And I just don't, I'm spending my money on different things. Obviously I'm doing the gym and spending a ton of money on that. But, you know, as far as like the cars and all that stuff I used to do, like, I've had the same truck for 5 years. No one sees my truck. It's a nice truck, but I don't care if anybody knows what I drive. I can drive a freaking, you know, a Civic, and nobody would even know. So, and then the flex culture for me, that's
the
faded.
flex culture. That's a good thing to call it. Yeah. The flex
that was
culture.
a big thing back then. And I feel like it's faded. And, you know, there's certain personalities on social media that can do that. There's certain personalities that don't. And that's just, you got to have the right self-awareness to realize if you're that type of person or not.
Honestly, I think it's kind of played out, to be honest. I mean, when social media first started, people started doing that, and it was so different that people were like, whoa, like, what's up with this person's lifestyle? What's up with that person's lifestyle? But then people started copying you guys, and it became such a played out, just lemming kind of a thing.
Also know the truth too. Like, I wasn't in a financial position to buy a Lamborghini, but then I bought one anyways. And that's how a lot of these guys are on social media. You'd be very surprised. All these guys are, you know, they're buying all this stuff to make it seem like they have everything. But, you know, I don't even own a house. Like, why am I driving a Lamborghini? You know, if you don't own anything, why do you have a $3,000 a month car payment? It doesn't make any sense. But it's just immaturity. People trying to create an illusion of who they are, so people will, you know, gravitate towards them. But the thing is being fake, you'll get exposed real quick. Especially nowadays, everybody's looking for it. Everybody's looking for the fake people.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I have one question I was going to ask, but you kind of answered it. And I was wondering, you know, what was the moment that because you were going down this road, and then there was this moment where you just kind of hit, you know, had this aha moment, and you decided, I need to change things. And it sounds like it was when you found out you were going to be a father.
It was after that. I was still a wreck after that. I was trying to pull my stuff together after we found out we were pregnant. We moved back up here, but I was still
what was the moment? What was it?
It was after my daughter was born. It was probably like 8 weeks after my daughter was born. Like, I was still not doing well. And it was like holding my kid, looking at her and looking at myself in the mirror, not being the man I know I need to be. It was like, I just felt like a piece of shit, you know? And I remember I was in the garage one day, and I was looking out the window in our garage, and it was raining, and I fell down on my knees, and I gave it up to God, and I prayed, and I was like, I can't do it alone. I've tried everything. You know, I would drink. I tried other stuff to make numb my pain. And, you know, I just tried everything on my own. And at the end of the day, like we're not built for that. We aren't meant to go through life on our own. And, you know, when you give your life to God and you follow his plan and you follow what he has set out for you and you keep yourself close to him, success comes. And it's funny I'm saying this because recently I've drifted away from God the past few months, and it weighs on me so much. And I was just at the gym, and he's calling me back. That's the thing, is like the past few days, like I've people, he's talking to me right now, like, and I know he's trying to pull me back in. And I know that I was prepared for this. I knew this was going to happen. That's why I'm kind of sitting back right now. I'm like, damn, I fell back into it because I knew the enemy was going to try to pull me away as I'm getting closer and closer to my gym, because I know that God has a plan for my gym. And I know that what he's going to use me and my gym in some way as a vessel to lay out the purpose that he has for me. And I know that because he has helped facilitate everything to get me to this point. And now that we're getting so close, I've felt myself get pulled away from him. And then the pressure's starting to build up and build up.
Well, I have a question for you about that. What does it that makes you feel that way? What happens that makes you feel that way?
It's me turning my back on him when I know I shouldn't. It's like, just
what does that look like though?
Skipping church, missing prayer, you know, thinking things I know I shouldn't be thinking, doing things I know I shouldn't be doing, like this temptation, falling into temptation. And that's where I've realized I've seen myself fall back into the last few months, and nothing like terrible, but just, you know, it's a sin is a sin. And that's the problem, is like, I can be better. I know I can operate better, and I know I'm not operating 100%. It weighs on me, and I start feeling a little anxiety. I start feeling a little depression. And that's what the enemy wants us to do. That's what he wants us to feel. And that's why we got to keep ourselves close to God, because he's going to be our protector. As I'm getting closer and closer to the gym opening up, the pressures are getting higher and higher, especially Olympia prep. And I hate doing this, but every single Olympia prep, I seem to get really close to God. You know, God is on your side. And the moment Olympia is over with, I'm like, all right, cool, we did good, thank you. And then I try hard, and then I get away a little bit. And that's something that, you know, I know a lot of Christians, you know, fall short on, and we wrestle with on a daily basis, is trying to stay close to him. But it's real, and I'm being honest. And, you know, I am a Christian, but I fall short. And I operate at my best. I'm at my best when I'm walking with him. There's no other way of saying it. And I'm going through it right now, of trying to find my way back right now, because I do feel the stresses of the enemy starting to being applied to me right now.
Yeah. I just think it's so awesome that you are like coming out, like speaking out more and like telling your journey, because even talking about, you know, the early days of social media, the flex culture, and then you observing, you know, some of the younger generation kind of following in your footsteps and kind of doing the same types of things. This is the tale as old as time, right? You went through it, and now you're on the other side, and you had a lot of lessons that you learned, and you are hoping, right, if I'm not mistaken, that your story can help and prevent other people from having to learn those lessons the hard way, the way that you had to learn them. Even though I'm sure you're grateful that you did, because you wouldn't be where you are now without that. But that is something that I think I'm personally really grateful for. That I think a lot of people are, that you're basically opening up and explaining, like, this is where I was, this is what I went through, this is how I got to this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's exactly what I want to do with my gym. And that's what I've been kind of hinting towards, is that, you know, I want to build character, and they're not just physiques.
Yeah.
You know, my gym is 18 plus. If you're under 18, you have to have a 3.0 GPA. You got to interview with your parents with me. I want to hold, you know, it's not going to be an after school hangout. You know, there isn't a lot of stuff for kids to do out here after school. So the gyms are the spot for kids to go hang out. And I don't want that in my gym, but I want, if they are younger and they are, you know, responsible, accountable kids, there's no reason why they shouldn't be at the gym trying to make the most out of themselves. you know, and also being able to be a student that says they train at a Stoic Gym, that's going to be like a badge of honor for these younger guys.
Yeah, I know. I saw this clip really fast, and then I want to hear this is awesome. I watched this and I'm like, okay, this is freaking awesome.
My whole life, I've noticed that no matter what gym I go to in the area, it's pretty much the same thing I can expect. The same equipment, usually the same workout week after week, extremely busy, prime time hours, a lot of kids hanging out after school. If you guys want to put an end to all of that, you guys are going to want to join Stoic Gym. We have over 60 pieces of equipment, dumbbells from 5 pounds to 200 pounds, full recovery room equipped with 2 cold plunges, an infrared and red light sauna, as well as 2 compression leg sleeves. The foundation of my career was built in this community. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I opened this gym, was to give back to you guys the way fitness is giving back to me. Stoic Gym is my gym. I'm going to be there every single day for you guys. And that means you're going to have access to me. I don't want you guys to feel like you guys can't come up to me, ask me questions, ask my opinions, or pick my brain a bit. I've done this for a long time, and I want to see you guys succeed as well. I wouldn't.
This is awesome. And then I thought that was the video that I was trying to look for. There was one where you were talking about, you know, this gym is about getting results. We don't want people to come and just, you know, we want to encourage each other to get results. So tell me a little bit about your gym.
Yeah, I mean, up in this area, like I said in the video, I've grown up here, and it's just a lot of corporate gyms. And you know, for doing what we do, being at a corporate gym, it's just, there's a lack of energy, there's a lack of availability for us to do what we need to do to build bodies and build our brands there. There's a gym I've been working out at. My buddy owns Jack Culture out here in Rockland. I've been doing a lot of my content out there. It's a great facility that I'm very grateful for. But other than that, there's no other, you know, little bodybuilding, powerlifting, you know, gyms that people can do content, or, you know, a little bit more lenient on the rules opposed to a corporate gym. So I wanted to create an environment for the athletes out here. Bodybuilding community in Roseville and Sacramento area is growing. We have a lot of talent out here, but there just hasn't been a hub for people to congregate. And what I noticed in my career is that, you know, it was the gyms that I was able to go to that felt like home, that had a certain energy that elevated me. When I surrounded myself with other bodybuilders that were better than me, it elevated my game. It made me competitive. And when you're around that, when you're around people training hard, you don't want to get left behind. You know, you don't want to be the guy that's, you know, staying fat, or the guy that's not growing. You don't want any of that. You want to be able to keep up. Yeah. And, you know, training where I'm at right now, that's why I went to Denver in 2023 to prep for Olympia. I couldn't do it here at these corporate gyms. You know, there's no push, there's no motivation. It's just, it wasn't the right environment to be the best version of myself as a bodybuilder. So creating a gym like this, a great environment, you know, having a community lounge area for people to congregate after their workouts, to collaborate, to, you know, it's going to provide something for all these athletes to not just, you know, build their physiques, but to market themselves and build their brands. And that's what I want to do with this gym is, you know, all these aspiring physique athletes that want to make this a career for themselves, is they got to understand that there's a right and wrong way of doing it. Yeah. And if they want to make any money bodybuilding, it's not going to come from competing on the stage. It's going to be coming from everything else you're doing off stage to monetize. And I chose this as a career. And, you know, that's, you know, I made a video talking about me doing Olympia and how there is a business strategy behind why I'm doing it. And somebody was saying, oh, he's just doing it for the money. He doesn't even want to, you know, of course, this is what I do for a living. Of course, I'm going to try to monetize the hell out of my prep. Yes. 100%. You know, like if I can.
All that shit. What?
Yeah. I mean, so
yeah.
That's
so funny.
There's so many people though that want to do what we do. They want to make money in fitness, and that they want to make this a career. And there's I've done it. So I want to
you've done it. So you can
show people how it's done. And it's not as hard as people think it is. It's just a matter of applying yourself and staying consistent and doing it. There's literally a blueprint of how to do it. Yeah. And, you know, like I was talking to some of the trainers out in our area that are thinking about working out of my gym, and, you know, they have a handful of clients, but they're working out of a corporate gym right now. I'm like, why would you do that to yourself? Yeah. Why would you collect 30% of the money you're making? I was like, when you can pay a flat overhead rate of, you know, $800 to $1,000 a month, that's 2 or 3 clients. The rest of your clients, the rest of those 25, you pocket all that money. Why would you want to give 70% away of that to a corporate gym? And but a lot of people are afraid to go out on a limb. Yeah. But when they start understanding the numbers, like 2 clients, that's going to cover my rent. I can do that.
Yeah. No, that's so true. here's the thing. You have a proven track record for being successful in the bodybuilding world, in business world. And so for you to show people and teach people how to do that, I mean, that only makes sense. And I mean, there's a lot of people trying to do that who aren't successful at it. So, I mean, just by default, you already have credibility and you already have the, I always like to say, success requires no explanation by Napoleon Hill. Yeah. But here's the thing with you. You remind me of somebody. Okay. I am good friends with Shaun T, who created Insanity back in like 2009.
Okay. Yeah. I saw his routine this past weekend.
Oh yeah, I know. I don't know. We could talk about that too, but you know what? Here's the thing.
Shaun can do whatever the hell he wants to.
Whatever the hell he wants to do. Shaun is my really good friend. And honestly, Shaun will always be Shaun. And I wish more people could have the type of freedom and ability to just be who they are. And I remember I interviewed him and he said, and I was telling him when he launched Insanity, he had all the producers and everyone wanting him to go on camera and say, this program is for anyone can do it. Doesn't matter who you are. And he was like, no. He was like, not everybody can do it. He's like, if you don't want to work hard, if you don't want to get results, then this program is not for you. If you want to get results, if you want to work hard, if you want to be, hurting during workouts, like this is for you. Mm-hmm. And what it did was the opposite of what the producers thought it would do. It brought in, it was a global hit. I remember
seeing the commercials. Yeah.
Yeah. And everybody saw the commercials, and it was because what people thought would make it more enticing by saying anybody can do it, by saying not anybody can do it. This is for people who want to work hard. You'd be surprised. You're not going to be surprised because that obviously was your idea, but a lot of people would be surprised at how much more enticing that sounds to somebody who maybe even has never worked hard before. A lot of people get FOMO and they say, I want to be that person. Was that something behind your mentality going into this creation?
For the gym?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want a certain type of person in my gym. So I had no problem of pushing the fact that I want hard workers in there, because I don't want people just taking up space. It's not a huge facility. It's 7,000 square feet. It's not small, but it's not a big corporate gym.
Yeah.
So we can fit probably 60, 75 people in there training at one time. But if you got 25 people just sitting around doing nothing, that's going to take up a lot of space. So we don't want that in there. And it's just not the demographic we're going after. There's plenty of hardworking people out here that would want to be at the gym to fill spots. I'm not worried about that. There's a lot of hardworking people out there.
Oh yeah. I know. I found this clip. I think this is the clip.
So as a 4-time Mr. Olympia, Stoic Gym has been founded on bodybuilding principles. But that doesn't mean we're not going to allow people of all fitness levels to come in and train. What we do ask of our members is that they take their training seriously. Whether you're a beginner or somebody that's been doing this a long time, we want to see progress. We want to see success. We want to see transformations from you guys. Unlike Planet Fitness, we aren't going to applaud complacency. We expect more from our members. We want to see you guys succeed by setting certain standards. At Stoic Gym, we're hoping to build an environment where our members are fueled by motivation, hard work, and accountability. When you're seeing your fellow members around you progressing from week to week, I know you guys aren't going to want to feel left behind. So it's going to encourage you guys to work harder and harder so you can keep up. For me personally, having some competition in the gym has always elevated me to my best game. And I hope the environment at Stoic Gym will do the same for you guys.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I'm getting excited. We're getting close right now. The buzz around town is just, it's big. It's big. Everywhere we go, someone's asking about the gym, and I
know your launch date, but I don't know if you've announced it yet. So
we're going to be doing. We're originally going to do the grand opening on the 19th, but we had such a huge amount of RSVPs that we're going to push it back because I can't. There's too many. I can't fit that many people. I don't want the city to come crashing down on us. So we're going to do a soft opening July 19th to all the current members that have already signed up.
Yeah.
And then we'll be open to public July 21st, and then we'll do a grand opening probably August 2nd. We'll let people trickle in, and that way, there won't be as much hype on the grand opening day. So
that's a good problem to have, though.
It is a good problem to have, but also I'm in a really busy shopping center right next to Trader Joe's, so I don't want to shut down the parking lot and piss off Trader Joe's or any of the other tenants, because you don't want to get on the bad side of your neighbors, because then they can call and report you for stuff. just want to be as,
Yeah.
almost as smooth as possible. So
This
we're
is
in a
gonna
good
be
spot right
huge.
now. I'm excited for everything. We have had a lot of support leading up. Membership sales been going really well. And yeah, I mean, this area needs it. And I think we're going to be generating a lot of, bringing up a lot of really quality athletes out of here.
Nice. I am mad about one thing.
Hmm.
It's too far away from me.
Where do you live now?
I'm in Southern California.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, a little destination gym for you.
It'll be a good destination gym. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I know. No, I think, it's going to be a destination. I love the name. So tell me what went into that. What's behind the
Finding
name?
a
Vision?
man, that's probably one of the hardest things is trying to figure out a name for a business, especially,
Right?
yeah, because everything's taken. You got to figure out, the trademarks and everything. And
Yeah.
it's tough. And then finding a name that really resonates with you and you can brand. And yeah, it took me a long, long time. And I don't know, I came across stoicism. That's what
Ooh, that sounds good.
Stoic is based after stoicism. It's just changed the C to a K. I think it looks better for the branding.
WOLFpak, C to
Yeah.
a K. So I get it.
It looks cool. And there is no other Stoic with a K out there, so we snagged that up. But yeah, I mean, for me, being Stoic is something that I strive for in my everyday life. I have not been the most Stoic person in the past, and that means Stoicism is basically being able to navigate through life and not letting any situation, pull you away from what your goals are, not letting your emotions being shown through. Even when times get tough, you keeping your head held high and you stay stoic and strong through it all, not letting people read you. And I've always worn my emotions on my sleeve, and it's probably been one of my biggest downfalls is letting my emotions get the best of me. And moving forward in my day-to-day life, I want to, try to embody stoicism by, not letting these situations or outside circumstances influence the way I act or respond or my emotional response to things. And that's what I'm pushing with through the brand is just people trying to push through tough times in life and you're not letting anything derail them from their goals.
Wow. Jeremy, that was amazing.
Thank
Are you kidding me? This is gosh, geez.
Yeah, I mean, it's
wow.
There's more to come beyond this, Jim, and we'll be talking about more of that after I get this first one open. But we have some plans for the brand, yeah. So we have some other ideas that we want to do. I really want to, grow Stoic into a global brand that is pushing this message and this mission to into our younger generation, because there's a lot of other brands out there that they might be cool. They got some, great ambassadors and athletes and whatnot, but not all these guys are, I would say, the best people or have the best moral standpoints or whatever. So, and a lot of these young guys are looking up to them and they want to be like them because, they are successful. They have money. They have all these followers. And, but I know a lot of these guys too, that they aren't the happiest people. They don't, behind all the social media stuff, their lives are what you think they are. And, living a good life that you feel good about is, ultimately comes back down to you being a good person, being able to look at yourself in the mirror every single night. So it doesn't matter what you have, how much money you have, or what you're doing. If you're not being a good person, it's gonna tear you apart.
Jeremy, this is so. First of all, your gym, your name behind the gym. This is a movement. I could see it now. I can see the whole movement happening. Once you launch, seems to me like there's going to be so much more of a story behind what you're doing and why you're doing it. And something that I think everybody's always appreciated about you is, you've always been very open with your followers. You've always been very open, authentic. I mean, when you were going through it, you expressed yourself. Maybe you have regrets on that, but it's like you always opened yourself up to where everybody kind of knew what was going on, for better or for worse, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm a public figure. So, I mean, I feel, just being transparent as possible is being honest with people. It's the best that you can do.
But not everybody is like that. I mean, even though people can want to scrutinize maybe some of the decisions that you've made or whatever. Yeah. But how honest are they being with what they have going on? Do you know what I mean?
100%. Yeah. Trust me, a lot of people have called me on the past. I'm like, what about the skeletons in your closet? I'm not the one here and put those out there, but I know. Yeah, trust me. You're accusing me of something that I know you're guilty of, but okay.
Yeah. I mean, you're very open, and now with your, basically your whole story sitting on the foundation of this new chapter of your life, this new exciting chapter of your life. I think that it's very deep, and I'm feeling it. Like I could just tell that I already know it's already a success. It sounds like before the doors even open. But I think that I can see way beyond that. I feel like there is a lot more going on that is going to happen.
Yeah,
and
I'm excited to share that when the time is ready for that. But yeah, I mean, it's just everything. Whenever I do something, there's always a next step. So I don't ever put myself in a corner. I always try to figure out how I can grow and evolve from where I'm at. So there is more growth and evolution after this first gym. It's just it's a matter of when it's going to happen. But I think it's going to happen relatively quickly. We're grateful. I mean, my wife and I talked about this when we were in our early 20s, when we dated the first time. And,
it's happening.
It's happening. I mean, it's cool because my wife and I talked about a lot of, my goals and aspirations when we dated the first time. I was 22. It was before I won my first Olympia. And when we got back together, she was like, I remember you told me you were going to do everything that you said you were going to do. So that was one of the things she always tells me. What I love most about you is that you follow through with your word. So it's cool to see that we're doing this together. My wife is, she's been into fitness, since we first met. Yeah. And the fact that my kids are going to be little gym rats growing up, I absolutely love that. My daughter already is obsessed with fitness. She loves YouTube. She wants to be a YouTuber. You should have seen her at the SAC show. I didn't have to tell her nothing. She was selling gym memberships. She was going through
way.
Oh yeah, everyone. Yeah, it's hilarious. She's so passionate about it. And we go to the gym. She goes to random people. Hey, I don't know if you know this, but my mommy and daddy are opening Stoic Gym.
Oh my gosh, that's so amazing.
It's a dream. It really is. And the fact that we're less than 3 weeks away from opening up. It's been a process. I started my hunt for a facility after the Olympia in 2023. That's when I started for a spot, and I found this unit in July last year. So it's all this time to finally get open, just because of closing on the lease, dealing with the city, and some other stuff. It didn't fall on me. It just
especially the Bay Area.
I mean, I was planning on opening up in December last year because I signed a lease, last year. And then we thought we were going to open in May. Then it was June. Now it's end of June. Now it's July. We're opening up for sure at the end of this month. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All the equipment landed in LA yesterday. So it's going to all start getting shipped up right now.
Yes. One thing I know from experience is that, when you have this, I guess like kind of like obsessive, I'm like an undiagnosed, like obsessive person too. Cause I feel like as long as I channel it into something positive, like it's all good. Right. Mm-hmm. And like for you going through all these phases of your life, it's like, it's the best and the worst quality to have, but it's the absolute best quality to have for you right now, because you're taking that passion, that obsession, and you're injecting it into this project. And, as long as you keep, I'm not trying to diagnose you or give you like therapy like that, but it sounds like it. But I guess I will say this. I feel like as long as you keep yourself, focused on, because that's never going to go anywhere. You're always going to have that. You're always going to be that obsessive person. I know that from personal experience. And so, but by channeling it into something like this, it's going to be all good.
It is. There's going to be different obstacles that come along. Like the biggest thing right now, I feel like the lessons I'm being taught is learning not to be in control of every situation right now, because throughout this process, like there's only so much I can do. Like I'm over here orchestrating, but the contractors are the ones that are doing it. I can't control the manufacturing. I can't control the shipping, all this stuff. So like I've done everything on my end to have the back end set up. I have everything ordered and ready to go, but now it's just waiting for everybody else to do their job. So it's been hard for my day-to-day recently, because I want to do something, but there's not much for me to do because I'm waiting on calls or waiting on emails. Like my storefront signage is supposed to go up yesterday, but the insurance they have isn't matching what the landlord wants. So it's just little things like that. Another thing I know I'm going to be dealing with is the everyday day-to-day of being around people as much as I'm going to have to be around. You know, I'm going to be very accessible to a lot of people. Like, I'm a homebody. I go to the gym, I come home. That's what I do. I socialize at the gym and I'll talk at the gym, but I'm going to be there all the time. And I'm going to be dealing with a lot of people. You know, some people I'm not going to like, but I'm going to be a businessman. So I got to make sure I'm, you know, friendly to everybody. But there's going to be situations where, you know, I'm going to have to really, you know, take a step back and be a professional and not let any emotions, you know, surface when dealing with customers or members, because I'm sure I'm going to run into issues or drama or whatnot, you know, amongst members and myself, whatever. But it's just understanding that this is a business and separating the personal and emotional side of things, and just it's going to be interesting and it's going to be a challenge, and I'm ready for it. And it's just the next chapter, and it's cool to see the evolution of things and to have something that's like actually mine. You know, sponsorships are great, but they don't last forever. And I've experienced losing sponsorships in the past, and you know, it's just that next step of planning ahead, because there's you know, there's life after the stage. And I'm hopefully these bodybuilders and other athletes are seeing, you know, that we got to create that life after stage for ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. But you are in control of this one. This is yours.
This is mine. Yeah, 100%.
No, I do. I could see that. I think that would be difficult. I think it would be difficult for anyone to, you know, kind of totally change your day-to-day lifestyle. And all of a sudden you're going from having all this alone time to having, but here's the thing about that. And this is something I really recognize about while you're talking, is that you're so self-aware of your thoughts and your actions. It's like, I feel like there's no way but for you to be successful at, you know, managing this, because you're so self-aware. You know, when, you know, maybe you are going through something and you're catching yourself. So I don't know. I just feel really good about this. I feel really good about you. I feel really good about where you're at in your life. It just all feels right, you know?
Appreciate it. Yeah. I mean, it's taken a lot to get back to this point, or get to this point now, but I'm in a good spot. And yeah, I have a lot of confidence. I have a lot of faith in what we're doing. And yeah, now it's just executing and seeing everything come together.
Do you feel like you've patched up all the things that you want to patch up from past situations, or is there anything left on the table for you?
I mean, for the stuff that really matters, yeah, the relationships that matter to me. Sorry, this fly has been harassing me the whole time.
I know there's a fly. You know, I think Hani said, I'm going to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah. All the important ones that really mattered. Yeah, I think I patched everything up with what.
Good.
Yeah, 100%. You know, there's certain individuals in this industry that I will never associate with, and I have no problem with that. I don't want to patch things up with.
You don't care, yeah.
I'll just keep myself away from them. You know, out of sight, out of mind. You know, I saw somebody at the Arnold that walked past my booth trying to get a reaction out of me, and unlike Jeremy before, I probably would have confronted the person, but I just packed my stuff up and I was like, all right, time for me to go. So before anything escalates, it's not worth it anymore. You know, like I got too much to lose. I'm not concerned with trying to be a tough guy with anybody anymore. I don't care about that. Being a tough guy doesn't mean you're cool. It doesn't. Back in the day, I thought of being, you know, I just had to try to punk everybody and challenge everybody and want to fight everybody. And it's just a young mentality to have.
I feel the same way you feel. I mean, if I had a falling out with someone, I have in the past, obviously, I only want to make it right if the relationship matters to me. Like if I don't care about the relationship, you know, I don't need to patch it up. It's fine just being it left on the table. I'm good with that. I don't need it to, but if something matters to me, then I'll have those hard conversations and I'll enter the conflict, you know, resolution stage or whatever you want to call it. And that's only when it really matters. And so that's good that you're in that place where you've handled everything you need to handle, you know. And so one thing we haven't even really talked much about is your final run now. Okay. We're entering, you are obviously, you know, a legend already. You have nothing to prove. You've done everything that anybody could ever dream of doing in this industry. So what is inside of you that's causing you to feel like I need this?
Yeah. I didn't show up the way I wanted to show up in 2023. I was so ready for that show going into peak week. You know, I had worked my way back into the conversation. You know, I went from people saying I didn't belong on that stage anymore to people saying, oh, he won't even be top 15. He won't make top 10. He will make top 5. Oh, well, he might be top 3. Oh shit, Jeremy might win this again. Like that's how the conversation.
Yeah, I remember.
And you know, we were 3 days out. I was out in Orlando training at the gym, and I remember I peeled off, and everybody in the gym stopped. We're like, "Holy shit!
Yeah,
like, you're gonna win this again." And I had so much confidence. We had done the unthinkable, and I messed up the last few days. The stress got to me. I wasn't digesting my food right, and the test peak weeks that we did the weeks before just wasn't hitting the same way. And my digestion, like I said, was off, and I just kept getting more bloated, and I spilled over really bad. So that wasn't the way I wanted to leave the stage. I want to show up 100%. I've never felt like I've ever felt 100% on stage. Despite winning my 4, I've never been my all-time best.
really.
And I want to walk on stage knowing I nailed my peak. And that's primarily that's super watery. You see, there's a video of me from like 3 days out. I was just grainy and just dry.
Man, you look pretty off, but you can tell your shape looks incredible.
It does. Yeah, my shape. I'm okay. I'm pretty happy with the way my shape looks, but it's just the conditioning. There's a film layer of water over me, and wasn't as crisp and as full as I should have been. But yeah, I mean, it's just coming back on stage at my best, be able to walk away saying there's nothing else to show. That's it primarily. And along with that, launch at the gym and having my final Olympia prep out of the gym, you know, my social media explodes when I get 3 months out from Olympia. When I'm in shape, my social media is absolutely on fire. So to have the amount of eyes on that in the gym and what we're trying to do, you know, globally with the brand, this is going to bring a lot of eyes to it. I know what it can do from a marketing standpoint. So that's a big factor as well. And also for my son to be here now, he'll be able to say he might not remember it, but he can at least say he saw his dad on stage. My daughter actually came down about 3 months ago. I came downstairs from doing my cardio, and she's like, "Daddy, I want to see you do the muscle show." I go, this is before I decided I was going to do Olympia. And I was looking at her, you want to see Daddy get on stage again and show his muscles? She goes, yeah. My wife, I go, I guess I'm doing Olympia again. I go, yeah, she just said that she wants to see me do it again. So that was the day. That was really the day I was like, all right, I guess I'm competing.
That was the day. How old is she?
Ella's 4.5.
Oh, that's so cute.
It's funny because I'll come home and she'll put me through my poses after a workout. If she loves going to the childcare at the gym, you know, sometimes I go train at a different gym, and where there's no childcare, so I'll come home and like she goes, "Daddy, I want to go to childcare." I already worked out. She goes, "Well, Daddy, your muscles look a little small. You might need to go work out some more." I'm like, "Oh, you're manipulating me and taking me to the gym now."
Oh my gosh, that's so cute though. She likes it.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I want to tell you. Something that was crazy to me is, I mean, okay, let's take away the fact that maybe you feel like you had a little bit, you weren't totally on point. Your shape looks incredible and your physique looks incredible. Like I can tell that there's a lot of awesome things going on here. But something that really stood out to me is I couldn't tell that you had a pec tear ever. Like you posed it away, you covered it up. Like it doesn't show. I mean,
I can
which
see.
side?
It's that front side right there. You can see there's a little.
Oh, I guess I could. Yeah, I guess a little
hole.
bit.
It bothers the hell out of me because that's all.
It bothers you. Well, you know what? I couldn't. Your chest still looks pretty full.
It does. Yeah, I mean, my surgeon did a good job. I've seen some absolute horrendous cases of them just.
That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, but it just that pose just doesn't look the same as it used to with my chest completely attaching into the shoulder. So I mean, I appreciate you saying you can't tell, and most people can't really tell. But for me, I know it's there. So it's
you know your body inside out. So of course you're like that's all you're focusing on. I mean, we all have those things that we're hyper focused on, and I mean, I have my things too, so I get it. But there's an incredible physique there, and if we see that Jeremy totally dialed in,
I'll be better this year. You know, the thing is, my injury last year with my legs, I wasn't able to train my legs. So my legs are downsized a little bit, and that was something that the judges wanted to see from me.
Which is exactly, I was going to say that might be better.
And but I was also over my weight cap because they didn't implement the weights until last year. They were taking data in 2023. I was 193.8 at check-ins. My cutoff was 187. So if I were to come in that same weight, I wouldn't make my weight this year. So the downside of my legs, yeah, I'll be fine. But that downside of my leg is going to allow me to add a little more size up top that I do need. So it'll be improved physique. I think my back's improved a lot. I think people are going to be impressed with the package we're bringing this year. It's going to be different. It'll be my best. And my muscle maturity is a lot better than it ever has been. And being 14 and a half weeks out right now, I'm in pretty damn good shape right now being this far out.
I noticed. Are you working with anyone on this one?
Alan Watkins, Waddy out of Colorado. Yeah, he's been a good friend of mine since the beginning of my career.
Yeah. And
this is just, for me, it's about having a good support system for a coach. I've been doing this a long time. I know it works for my body, and he is very familiar with how my body works too. So it's more just bouncing ideas off each other and having an extra eye. As we get closer to the show, I'll let him take over a little bit more. But, as of right now, I've just been doing my thing. I text him pictures. I say, this is what I've been doing.
Yeah.
If it looks good, keep going. Maybe pull this out or do this. Just small adjustments.
Yeah.
But I've been back on prep for like 7 weeks now. I didn't realize I had gotten as fat as I did in my off season. So I've just been trying to get my body composition back to eating 6 meals a day. It's crazy because last week I was eating 5 meals a day, and just adding that extra meal this week, my body has changed like a lot. And it's nuts because it's only been like 4 days, but incorporating that extra meal, it's been a noticeable difference. And so like for people watching, like that's how important your food is. Just me adding one extra meal made a visual change in my physique in a matter of 3 or 4 days. Wow. And that's just the importance of your nutrition and understanding how food will manipulate the way you look and consistency. And it's been, I'm excited because I'm in a good spot right now, and my body's feeling pretty good. And I'm ready to rock.
And new 5-time.
That'll be a hell of a story if I'm able to walk away as the champion again. That would be incredible.
Jeremy, you can.
I know I'm capable.
You got this.
I know I'm capable. It's just a matter of staying focused, and my confidence builds as I get closer to the show. I'll get more and more confident, and it's not listening to anybody on the outside because the other guys count me out. They think I'm in the thing of the past, and it's fine. That's what they said in 2023, and then I had all of them shaking peak week. So it'll be the same thing this time. I'm not going to mess up those last few days.
Yeah. I love that. I love the edge that comes out of you. I mean, that's the champion that everyone loves, the confidence, the fierceness, the stoicism. No, it's all good. And God, I feel like there's so much more that I wish that I want to talk to you about, but man, like I could talk to you forever. I feel like, I'm going to have to keep, track of you and keep updated on everything that's going on.
Let's do another one as we get closer to Olympia, when we're a few weeks out, I'm sure a lot's going to happen between now and then, especially the gym opening. You can come up and train at the gym. We can do some content up here too.
For sure.
I actually wanted to talk to WOLFpak about getting some bags made for the gym as well. So I need to reach out to you guys.
Let's talk about it. Yeah. Well, don't go anywhere. I want to say goodbye to you on the other side. But before we go, I want you to have the final word. I want you to say whatever you want to say to your fans, your followers, everyone who loves you so much.
Yeah. I appreciate everybody that's been around since the very beginning. I mean, it's been a journey. A lot of you guys have been following since the beginning of my career, have really watched me grow up from a child into a man. And through the highs and lows, I've had a lot of people support me. And I'm very grateful for that. Even when I gave up on myself, a lot of you guys didn't give up on me. So that goes a long way. And I have a lot of people that I talk to on social media that I've never met in person, but I've developed relationships with over social media. And I'm grateful for the little messages I get, lifting me up, encouraging me, and letting me know that people still believe in me. It means a lot. And I'm grateful that, my story and the lessons I've learned and me being able to be vulnerable with you guys have been well received. Not being judged by some, some judge, but majority of you guys have been really supportive of me being open and talking about the things I've gone through, and the fact that it has impacted, a lot of people. And I've had so many people come up to me in person and thank me for me being vulnerable enough to talk about the lessons I've learned, and seeing the changes that I have helped with other people. you know, I just want that to be a message for everybody is, you know, we have a duty to not just live for ourselves, but to give back to this world that we live in. And the more you give out, the more you're going to get back in return. And, you know, I wasn't always the best at being a good person. And that's something that I really have had to grow into. And it's something that we can all do. And it's just a matter of effort and being accountable to yourself and not letting that voice in your head that tells you to do the bad stuff take over. Just being in control of yourself, having, you know, discipline and accountability, you know, always striving to one up yourself from the day before. And, you know, when you walk into a room, try to leave that room elevated. You know, when you encounter a person, try to leave that person feeling better. You know, I hate seeing people walk in the gym or seeing bullies or somebody that just picks on somebody and they walk away. And it's like, how do you feel?
Yeah.
After you get done saying that to that person? Like,
yeah.
How does that make you feel? Like, I'm genuinely like, do you feel better? Do you feel good? Because I know that person doesn't feel good. I know you can't walk away patting yourself on the back. So what's the point?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I just want the gym, Stoic Gym, to be a place where people come, feel a part of the family, feel welcome, and feel like they're part of something that the community around them genuinely wants them to succeed and be better, not just physically, but all around. And I think the world needs more of that. Everybody lifting each other up, loving each other, and supporting each other. So that's the mission. That's what we're putting out there. And I just hope that, you know, people watching this can, you know, walk away from this video and go out from their day-to-day tomorrow and keep that in the front of their mind, that I'm going to walk away lifting somebody up.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, Jeremy, you're amazing. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that we're in touch and that we're going to keep going with this. And I hope, don't go anywhere. And everyone who's watching, thank you so much. This is going to go up on YouTube right away. So the link is going to be available. And until next time, I will see you all on the flip side.